Hello, my name's Simi. For the brief overview of the dilemma is the ethical dilemma that I had originally picked, which was where the child was hitting and taking toys away from other students. So what we did was we tried to talk to the parents, and at first it wasn't healthy. It wasn't a easy sort of solution where we could try and ask the parents what has changed with the child, if there's any new siblings, any new schedule going on with the child. Maybe this was only happening on certain days where the child hasn't eaten well or anything like that. At first, it did not go too well. This was also due to professional experience. So then, what we did was we tried to open up and engage in conversation again with professional experience. We tried to ask the parent some friendly questions, more as like maybe if there's a new sibling, or maybe him and the new sibling were not playing along as often. We also tried to ask if the sleep schedule was off, maybe if there was something that they were sleeping in and they were sleeping too early but sleeping also in too late, or if they were waking up too early, were they waking up too often at night? And then we also tried to go into food routine, maybe something like feeding the child more proteins, more meats and stuff like that, something more healthy where they're not eating too many sugars. But then we also didn't want to cross any boundaries because even though the child did come to the kids club and daycare center, we wanted to make sure that we keep it an open relationship and we did not ask too many personal questions. And then what we did was we tried to introduce some of the codes of which we knew from the NAEYC codes. So we did try to do that, and the one I picked was P-1.4. We shall support children's well-being by encouraging the development of strong bonds between children and their families and between children and teachers. So when it comes to children and their families, we wanted to make sure that we were asking open-ended questions or questions that were not invading anyone's privacy. And then between children and their teachers, we were trying to come up with new ways that even though there were activities outside for the child, so there was reading, coloring, clay, anything, not anything at all, but there is enough to keep the children busy, even if there was a video playing, and then there were toys and all of that. The child did not seem interested, so then what we did was between child and teachers now as the example is to make sure that when the child comes, we have some sort of relationship bonding time, because it may be that the child was not getting bonding time at home, because we get it that the parents are busy, they're going to work, they have to cook and all of these other things. There's probably homework time for the other children. So then what we did was we tried to make sure that when, say for me, when I worked with the child, I would read a book, but I would also have it to where my arm was touching their arm, or if my hand was on top of their hand. Just very simple little movements to help the child know that I'm there, I'm right there with them, but also very calm movements to let them know that I'm calm and I'm not showing any sort of frustration. So we did try that after we introduced some of the principles and ideals that we knew of at the time, and some of the things that we did. That was some of the resolution that we used, and it did help a little bit overall in the end of the ethical dilemma that had happened with my professional experience at work. Summary of my reflection and what I learned from this assignment. It's actually really hard to ask parents any questions because you want to make sure that even though it is a daycare and you have their children in this center, you want to make sure you're not asking questions that are invading someone's privacy. You are also I learned that you're very limited on what you can and cannot do because, again, it is someone else's child. So it's not disciplinary actions, but you are limited because there's only so much information someone knows. Say if a child is behaving in an ornery fashion, you don't know if their sleep schedule is off, a new sibling, or if maybe the parent's day is off and that's why the child may be acting up. So overall, that was my outcome, or what I learned from the assignment. That's some of the things I learned. I realized that that's what had happened. But thank you. My name's Simi. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.